obviously we need to take it back. But
I had an idea early in the year when there was a discussion about scaffolding and having a wrap around it, that instead of something fairly standard like the photo of the building or something like that that's often done, that we could work with street artists and do something entirely different that you wouldn't expect to see at a National Trust property. We're trying to do something very different here, and for me this is a really clear marker that Croom isn't an average National Trust property, and the projects we're doing are not ones you'd necessarily expect. So I went to Upfest in Bristol and talked to Stephen Hales about artists that I'd seen online. The National Trust isn't for them because it's often seen as only being old bits of furniture in old houses. But the reality is there's a lot going on in the National Trust. The contemporary art, music, theatre, that there are things that appeal to such a wide range of audiences. And we're trying to do a lot of those things here at Croom.
And it's just amazing to take a grey or a stony wall and convert it into something that's bright, interesting and talks. You look at it once, you don't see the whole thing. You stand there and look at it for 5 minutes, you start to see a lot of other things. All the canvases will be changed from a blank white sheet into something pretty impressive. And down the bottom I'm just doing the murals underneath the building to attempt to make the building look like it's floating a little bit. Oh my God, here we go, look! You're taking my throne! You're following me to the fogs next, this one, will you? Wait and see.
Yeah, this is like the biggest piece that I've ever done, so it's an experience, to be fair. It's trying to get like really smooth, crisp lines, because obviously when you're doing a smaller piece you can do it all in one go, whereas here you need to kind of think of where the line's going before you actually do it, which is a bit tricky but good fun. It's actually to do with the schoolboys that were here in the 1950s, I think it was, after the war. It was a school run by nuns, so we wanted to implement that into the piece as well.
While renovating a large property like this, you can do something really, really interesting. The general public, they enjoy it. When you take kids off the street and give them a paintbrush, you'll be amazed how much talent there is out there. There's a lot of talent out there, man.
As you're walking along that path, it goes from being, wow, that's massive, to wow, that's small, to wow, that's massive.
Always drew, like drawing, copied comics and things like that. I've met some graffiti guys in Bristol. They sort of really like my work, so they really encouraged me to go out and sort of paint and just sort of documenting, the history of the area. This is to do with Maria Gunning. She's like really sort of glamorous and young, and like everyone was like, oh, she's amazing, she's really beautiful. I think they used a lot of lead in like the makeup. Basically ended up burning her face off, making loads of blisters, and she died at like young 20s basically. It's like a really good opportunity, and it's amazing sort of canvas to sort of paint with, so you can't really turn something like this down. I'm sort of super psyched to be invited really. So
there's an overall concept design which is being done by one of the lead artists, which is Chio, and within that and within the design other artists will add in, and you'll see the distinct difference between the different artists up on the building.
The difference between the concept on paper and the finished piece, I think a lot of people didn't really realise just the size and scale of it, and seeing it in the flesh, people got it, understood what it's about and why it's worth doing and why it's worth doing at this scale.
I think it's really nice that National Trust are kind of going out on a limb. I don't suppose it's the sort of thing that most National Trust members would dive in and be kind of into the street art scene. So it's really nice to merge something which is fascinating along the history side with a different subculture. And I think the National Trust members are maybe some of the last bastions of people that see street art and graffiti as an act of vandalism. And I think society now is changing very quickly, and as artists we're getting approached by councils and people in authority that are embracing what is can only be, I see, as a positive thing, that to brighten people's environment and to make positive statements. If we can change the minds and we can show people that actually because we're using a spray can, it's just another art material, we can use that and we can make something which is ugly beautiful.
There were certainly times when I wondered if it would ever happen, if we'd ever get there, and I'm so pleased that we persevered and we didn't give up, because when I come into work in the mornings and I see this, I smile every day when I come in, and I know that's going to be the same for other people. It marks this place as being different, and that's important to me.